Who gave them clearance? The voice crackled over the comm, metallic and precise like shards of glass cutting through tension. No one. They just appeared, Mira said, her hand frozen over the console. Her wide amber eyes reflected the holographic star lane stretching ahead. Right inside the system. A low hum grew beneath their feet, vibrations threading through the ship's hull, subtle yet unnerving. The humans were silent for a beat, but their expressions didn't waver. Not one of them. Kale leaned against the rail, arms crossed, smirking. Appeared, huh? Sounds like they forgot to knock, again. Mira blinked, unsure if he was joking. Kale, these aren't, trust me. Mira, they'll learn. His voice had that casual, unshakable tone humans carried, as if the universe itself owed them an explanation. Outside the viewport, a fleet of alien ships, sleek and iridescent, glided in formation, blocking the wormhole exit like a living wall. They shimmered, their surfaces morphing, almost breathing. The aliens' communication pulses began, a wave of light and sound intended to intimidate. Kyle tapped his fingers on the rail. Cute tricks. Little glow. Little hum. You think that scares us? Mira's pulse quickened. She felt the weight of centuries of alien dread pressing at the glass. They're massive. And they're not responding. They're just waiting. Kale grinned, a flash of teeth that seemed reckless and fearless. Good. Waiting means they don't know what's coming. And I do. The bridge fell silent except for the low, rhythmic pulse emanating from the alien fleet. Mira's heart hammered. The humans, by contrast, moved as if the moment were ordinary, almost lazy. Their calm was infuriating. Their swagger was maddening. Permission denied, the alien's central pulse intoned, vibrating in the air, in their bones, in every sense of threat. Leave, or destruction will be immediate. Kyle stepped forward, voice carrying through the hum. Didn't catch that. Speak English. The alien pulse shifted, warbling, a distortion of thought trying to pierce the human mind. Fear was expected, obedience, submission, humans. Didn't compute. Kale's grin widened. Nope, you see, that's where you're wrong. Humans don't ask permission. The alien fleet shimmered brighter, and then suddenly a shockwave of energy slammed against the ship. Lights flickered, alarms screamed. The humans stumbled, but none fell. Kale's hand slid over the controls, fingers moving with calculated ease, redirecting the energy. Sparks flew, but the hull held. Mira's voice trembled, finally breaking through the dazzle. Kyle, we can't. Watch me, he said, his gaze locked on the nearest alien vessel. This is how we talk. A beam shot from the human ship, precise, clean, cutting through the alien formation like a scalpel. The nearest alien ship flared, shuddering violently. Communication pulses fractured. The wall of light wavered. The aliens hesitated. Not fear, confusion, surprise, something they had not calculated. And for a fleeting moment, Kale's smirk was mirrored across every human on the bridge. Audacity turned into power. Mira swallowed hard. Do you even think about consequences? Kale leaned back, shrugging, voice calm. Consequences are for those who wait for permission. I don't. And then, before anyone could react, the alien fleet pulsed again, faster, sharper, the space around them trembling. Kale's grin didn't falter. Mira's stomach dropped. The humans weren't the only ones testing limits today. The viewport rippled. Something massive moved behind the fleet. Something they hadn't yet revealed. Shadows twisted, stretching across the stars, shaping the kind of horror a human mind might invent but never truly understand, until it was real. Kale, Mira whispered, almost to herself. What is that? Kale's eyes sparkled, and his voice was equal parts dare and promise. Oh, Mira. They're about to find out that humans don't ask permission. The pulse of alien threat continued, growing faster, sharper, almost like a heartbeat. Warning, countdown, challenge. And in the human ship there was no panic. Only a calm, lethal focus, a confidence born from centuries of survival, conquest, and refusal to bow. And for the aliens, the lesson was just beginning. Their eyes. They see everything, Mira whispered, gripping the console so tightly her knuckles whitened. Or at least that's what I think it is. Kyle didn't respond immediately. He crouched slightly, scanning the alien shadows on the sensors. His expression was unreadable, calm, almost lazy. But Mira felt the undercurrent of calculation beneath it. Think? He finally said, voice casual. I don't think. I act. A new vibration thrummed through the ship, subtle at first, then violent enough to rattle tools off workbenches. The aliens weren't just observing anymore, they were preparing. Energy spikes rippled through space, creating distortions, bending the light around the fleet like liquid metal. "Kale, we're surrounded," Mira said, her voice tight. We can't hold them all." He leaned against the railing, fingers tapping, slow, deliberate, almost taunting. "Hold them? Who said anything about holding them?" The alien pulse intensified, a deafening wave of thought that slammed into their minds. Fear, submission, obedience. Mira stumbled back from the console, blinking rapidly. "They're probing us," she gasped. "They're reading our minds." Kale's grin didn't falter. "Good, let them. I like when my opponents underestimate me." He straightened, eyes glinting like sunlight on steel. "Mira, you ever hear that old human saying? If someone tells you don't touch it, that's your invitation to invent a better way." A rumble rolled through the ship. The alien fleet pulsed again, faster this time, trying to anticipate their next move. But the humans weren't reacting. They were dictating. Kale's hand swept over the controls. With a quiet click, the ship's hull shimmered and split light in a way that mimicked the alien pulses, sending back a distorted echo. Mira's mouth fell open. You just mirrored them." Kale shrugged, leaning back. "Mimicry is boring. I did better. I rewrote their rhythm." Outside, the alien formation shivered as if struck. One of the largest ships convulsed, its surface fracturing into jagged light. A low howl vibrated through the vacuum of space. Not sound exactly, but the kind that rattled bones. Mira's heart thumped in disbelief. How do you even— "Easy," Kale said. "Step 1, don't panic. Step 2, assume they don't understand humans. Step 3, make them understand fast." The shadow they had glimpsed behind the fleet moved. Mira could barely register it at first. A titanic silhouette stretching across the star lanes. A vessel or creature so vast it made the fleet look like toys. Its edges were jagged like fractured crystal, and it moved with deliberate patience. "They're not just defending," Mira whispered. "They're hiding something. Something massive." Kale's grin widened. "And that's exactly why we're here." The humans worked quickly, each movement purposeful, synchronized in a way that made the aliens' pulsing attempts to dominate seem clumsy, reactive. Every maneuver, every flick of the wrist was a statement. Humans didn't beg, didn't negotiate. They acted. "Kale, their pulses," Mira said, eyes wide. "They're starting to fragment. The fleet, some of them are. Panicking." Kyle's laugh was low, quiet, yet it echoed through the bridge. "Panic is an excellent teacher, especially when it's the other guy learning." He straightened and stepped closer to the viewport, hands clasped behind his back. "Look at them. Big, beautiful, shiny, terrifying, and they don't know what we're willing to do. That's power. That's leverage. That's us." Mira swallowed hard. "Leverage? We're tiny in comparison. One misstep—" Kale turned sharply, eyes locking onto hers. "Tiny?" "Mira, we may be small, but we have something they don't. Imagination, courage, and the habit of ignoring rules that weren't written for us." The titanic shadow shifted again. This time it revealed something more. A series of geometric constructs like towers of light and shadow suspended in space. They emitted pulses that matched the fleet, but sharper, deeper, almost alive. The humans understood instinctively. Those constructs weren't just weapons, they were a control system, an intelligence guiding the entire fleet. Kale's grin hardened into determination. That explains why they're so twitchy. They rely on that thing, and they didn't expect us to interrupt it. Humans don't ask permission. Humans improvise. Humans dominate. A sudden ripple of energy surged through space, rocking the ship violently. Mira barely held on. "Kale, it's reacting." He slapped the console, steadying the ship with one hand. "Good. That means it noticed. That means it's afraid. That means we can push further." Mira stared at him, caught between awe and terror. "Push further?" Kale's eyes glittered. A flash of human audacity that made the alien pulse stutter in ways Mira had never thought possible. "Exactly. They just learned the first lesson about humans. And it's going to hurt." Outside, the fleet faltered. The massive constructs behind them pulsed violently, a warning and a threat. But the humans pressed on, a whirlwind of defiance, laughter, and precision. And in that moment, Mira realized, for the first time, the aliens didn't feel in control. Humans had never asked permission, and now they never would. "The sensors are lying," Mira said, voice tight as she scanned the readouts. "They're saying the construct is stable, but it's pulsing in ways it shouldn't." Cal didn't glance at the screens. His eyes were fixed on the viewport, watching the alien fleet quiver, the massive shadow behind them like a storm gathering patience. "The sensors aren't lying, Mira, they just aren't human. They don't think like we do." Mira swallowed, watching a volley of alien energy lash out at them. It struck the ship, folding over the hull in shimmering arcs, and yet the humans barely flinched. Kale's hands danced over the controls, redirecting the blast, feeding it back into the void like water through a sieve. You're not afraid?" Mira asked, voice shaking despite herself. "They could what?" Kale's grin was casual, almost irritatingly so. "Kill us? Sure, but they don't know how to stop us first. That's the key. We don't wait for their rules." A tremor ran through the bridge as the construct behind the fleet reacted violently. Flaring in blinding light, the alien ships convulsed in unison, a coordinated dance unraveling. Something inside the fleet had snapped, but Kale didn't slow down. He pushed harder, sharper, bending the engagement to his favor. "Kale, the constructs," Mira said, leaning closer. "They're feeding off the fleet. If we disrupt them, maybe we can break the wall," Kale finished for her, voice low and steady. "Exactly. But be careful. Even shadows can kill if you underestimate them." Outside, a section of the alien formation collapsed inward. Ships collided, energy fields destabilized. The Titanic shadow shifted slightly, like it was sensing, learning, reacting, and yet it hesitated. Something about the humans' movements, their audacity, their unpredictability, confused it. "Humans don't follow patterns," Kyle said softly, almost to himself. "We improvise. We create." Mira's hands moved over the controls, matching his maneuvers. Together, they led the ship into the cracks forming in the alien formation. Every pulse they sent, every energy wave they redirected, forced the fleet to overcompensate. Chaos spread like wildfire. "Kale, they're starting to adapt," Mira said, fear edging her voice. "They're thinking faster now." Kale chuckled, eyes never leaving the viewport. "Good, let them think. Humans don't fear thinking. Humans use it." Suddenly, a flash of movement streaked across the viewport. The massive shadow shifted again, revealing its full height. A colossal crystalline form suspended in space, every facet reflecting light in impossible angles. It was more than a ship, more than a weapon. It was intelligence made visible, something alive, aware, calculating. They're alive," Mira whispered, awe and terror warring in her tone. Not just the fleet. The construct itself. Kale's grin widened, sharp and daring, and it just learned the first lesson about humans. We don't ask permission. We don't negotiate. We don't pause. We act, and sometimes we win. The alien fleet pulsed again, a massive shockwave of energy radiating outward. Mira's stomach lurched as the ship rocked violently. Instruments screamed. And yet the humans moved with precision, sliding through the wave, cutting through the fleet like a knife through mist. "Focus on the construct," Kale said. "The fleet is just noise. Destroy the heart and the body falls." Mira's fingers flew across the controls. The construct's surface glimmered with alien patterns, complex and beautiful, but human eyes and instinct found the weak points. Kyle leaned forward, voice steady as steel. "Ready?" Mira nodded. "Ready?" Kale's hand pressed the final sequence. A beam of concentrated energy leapt from the ship, cutting across space, targeting the glowing core of the construct. The moment it struck, the entire formation shuddered violently. The fleet flinched, uncoordinated for the first time. Shadows twisted, light fractured. Mira gasped. It's destabilizing." Kyle's eyes gleamed with that human fire. "Exactly. Humans create opportunities. Others respond to them. An opportunity smells like victory." The alien fleet's pulses grew erratic, the constructs behind them flaring and flickering. The titanic shadow writhed in space, almost screaming, a wave of pure reaction to human defiance. And then, for a split second, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Mira looked at Kale, heart racing. "Do you think we can actually—" "Already are," Kale interrupted, voice calm, lethal, confident. "Remember this, humans don't wait for permission. And today, Today, the universe just learned why that's dangerous. Outside, light and shadow collided. The alien fleet fractured, gaps forming in their once perfect formation. The titanic construct quivered violently, and then it blinked as if understanding that humans weren't just invaders. They were a force the universe hadn't counted on. Mira exhaled shakily. We're inside now. Kale's grin was all swagger, all confidence. Inside, yes, but this is only the beginning. And in the dark expanse beyond, the alien shadows watched, learning, adapting, terrified in ways they had never known possible. Humans didn't ask permission. Humans didn't negotiate. Humans didn't stop. And the galaxy was about to realize just how unstoppable that could be. The readings are impossible, Mira muttered, eyes glued to the console. Energy levels through the roof. It's like the construct is alive, aware. Kyle leaned casually on the railing, smirk unwavering, as if he were inspecting a malfunctioning machine rather than staring down a living weapon. Aware, yes, but not prepared. Never prepared for humans. Mira's hands shook slightly. Kyle, it's moving, faster than our projections. Its tendrils, whatever those extensions are, they're trying to encircle us. Kale's grin widened. Good, let it try. Humans don't back down from a hug no matter how lethal. The ship rocked violently. Mira barely stayed on her feet as the massive crystalline construct's appendages swept past them. Close enough to shear the hull. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and yet humans moved like dancers through chaos. Every maneuver was precise, deliberate, confident. We're dancing with death, Mira whispered, awestruck. Kyle's eyes gleamed with that human fire. Then we lead. The construct pulsed, light cascading over its multifaceted surface. Each pulse was a calculated strike, a probing attack, and yet it hesitated in small, unpredictable ways, the gaps the humans exploited. Mira realized the construct wasn't just powerful. It was learning, adapting. But its learning was slow, and humans thrived in chaos. Kale pressed a sequence on the console, eyes never leaving the viewport. A beam of energy arced from the ship, slicing through one of the construct's luminous appendages. It flared violently, then recoiled, fracturing into smaller shards that floated in space like shattered stars. Mira's jaw dropped. You just improvised, Kale finished casually. Humans don't wait for manuals. The construct's tendrils recoiled, then lunged again, faster this time. Energy ripped through the void, forcing the ship to dodge with precision. Mira felt adrenaline surge through her veins. Kale, it's predicting us. It's thinking ahead. Kale laughed, low and defiant. Good, let it think. Thinking is for humans too, and we're better at it. The massive shadow behind the fleet flared with intensity, light bending into intricate patterns that sent tremors through the ship. Mira realized it wasn't just attacking. It was communicating, a language of pure energy, a mind reaching across the void. Do you think it understands us? Mira asked, voice trembling. Kale's gaze was steady, almost philosophical. Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter. Humans don't ask permission. Humans don't negotiate with monsters. We act, we adapt, we survive. And sometimes, we dominate. Another pulse struck. The ship shuddered violently and alarms blared. Mira's stomach lurched. Kale, one more hit like that and relax, he said, voice calm as steel. I've got a plan. Humans always do. Kale's fingers flew across the console, weaving commands that drew the construct into a trap. Energy beams converged, mirrors deployed, deflection arrays angled perfectly. The human ship moved as one with the plan, a symphony of calculated risk and audacity. The construct faltered, its appendages twisting erratically. Mira's eyes widened. It's reacting to us. It doesn't know what we'll do next. Kyle's grin was razor sharp. Exactly. Humans are unpredictable. We turn expectation into weakness. That's power. Mira noticed the alien fleet floundering behind the construct, disorganized, leaderless. The humans' assault had forced a chain reaction. The aliens weren't just losing, they were confused, terrified, incapable of responding to the improvisation they didn't understand. Kale leaned closer to the viewport, eyes locked on the pulsing core of the construct. This is it. Heart of the beast. One shot, one clean strike, and the rest of them crumble. Mira's hands hovered over the final controls, trembling. Are you sure? Kale's smirk softened, a rare flash of sincerity. I don't do sure, I do. The ship surged forward, weaving through energy bursts and glowing tendrils. Mira's pulse raced with exhilaration and fear. The construct flared, sensing the intrusion, pulsating wildly. But the humans moved with a fluidity, a harmony born of defiance, courage, and audacity. Kale pressed the final trigger. A beam of concentrated energy streaked forward, slicing through the construct's core. Light erupted in a blinding flash. Mira felt the ship tremble violently, hull groaning under the strain. Then silence. Outside, the construct's pulsing ceased. The fleet staggered, fractured, leaderless. Energy streams collapsed into void. Shadows twisted in the distance, retreating, uncertain. Mira exhaled shakily. "We did it." Kale's grin returned, wider, bolder. "No, we just taught a lesson. One they'll never forget." Mira turned to him, awe and disbelief mingling in her eyes. "Kale, how do you stay so confident?" He leaned back casually, eyes glittering with fire and daring. "Because we're human. We don't ask permission. We don't wait. We don't surrender to fear. That's why we survive, and why the universe is about to remember us." The shattered fleet drifted in the void, silent and broken. The titanic construct lay inert, its light dimmed but not gone, an intelligence humbled but not destroyed. And somewhere deep inside, Mira realized the truth. The universe had underestimated humans. Every calculation, every strategy, every expectation had failed. Because humans didn't ask permission. They acted. They adapted. They dominated. And Kyle embodied that spirit. Outside, the stars stretched infinite, and for the first time, the aliens understood the real threat. Humanity. Not just as warriors, but as an idea. Mira stared at the viewport, heart pounding. The shattered alien fleet drifted like wreckage in the void, but in the distance, new formations were coalescing. Larger, faster, organized, calculated. "They're regrouping," Mira said, voice taut with apprehension. "Faster than we thought possible." Kale didn't look worried. He leaned back against the railing, arms crossed, eyes sharp, calculating. "Regrouping means they're scared, confused, afraid of what we just did." "That's leverage," Mira shook her head. "Leverage, Kale?" "They're not just coming. They're coordinating." "They've adapted," Kale smirked. "Good, let them. Humans thrive when others try to predict us. That's where the fun begins." The alien fleet advanced, pulse weapons charging. Behind them, faint shadows shimmered. Construct fragments, intelligent drones, remnants of the massive entity they had destroyed, or thought they had. The pulse of energy was rhythmic, strategic. The aliens were learning fast. Mira's fingers danced over the controls. "We're outnumbered. Way outnumbered. If they hit full force, we won't." "Relax," Kyle interrupted, voice casual, dangerous. "Humans aren't about numbers. We're about choices, and we make them faster, smarter, better." A sudden warning shrieked through the bridge. Sensors detected a massive energy wave converging from multiple directions. The fleet had split into two vectors, attempting to trap them. Mira's stomach dropped. "They're trying to box us in." Kale's grin sharpened. "Exactly. They think in patterns. We don't. Humans create patterns. Humans break patterns. Humans survive patterns." The first wave of alien vessels surged. Energy beams sliced across the void, sending sparks of dissonant light through space. The human ship danced, dodging and weaving, energy shields flaring in brilliant arcs. Every maneuver was audacious, every move a challenge to the predictable logic of the aliens. Mira's eyes widened. "Kyle, I don't know how you're—" "I don't understand how—" "You don't have to understand," Kyle said, voice calm over the alarms. "You just follow. Humans lead by acting." The second wave of alien ships closed in, coordinated, deadly. Mira's palms sweated as she fired energy pulses, directing them to intercept incoming threats. The ship shuddered violently. "Kyle, they're learning faster than we can, and that's why we improvise," Kale said. He slammed a series of commands, sending their ship spinning in an impossible arc. Alien pulses fractured against their shields. Ships collided in the distance, energy surging like storms in miniature. Mira blinked, heart racing. That was insane." Kale's grin widened. "Insane is human for efficient." But the counterattack wasn't just brute force. The aliens deployed psychic pulses, waves designed to penetrate minds, incite fear, panic, hesitation. Mira staggered as her thoughts were pushed, prodded, weighed down by alien intrusions. "Kyle, let them try," Kale interrupted. His eyes glinted with audacity. "Humans resist. Humans adapt. Humans dominate." He pressed a sequence that sent a harmonic pulse through the ship. neutralizing the alien psychic attack. Mira felt clarity return, sharp and electric. She realized then that their advantage wasn't just firepower. It was mind, cunning, unpredictability. The alien fleet faltered, a single weak point opening in the wall of formations. Kale's eyes locked onto it. That's our shot. Focus, one strike. Heart of the wave. Mira felt a surge of adrenaline as she fired a concentrated beam of energy. It pierced the weak point, striking the command nexus of the alien fleet. Explosions of light rippled outward. Ships spun out of control, energy shields collapsing, communication pulses fracturing. The aliens screamed in unison, not a sound, but a vibration, a psychic howl of frustration and disbelief. Mira exhaled shakily. We did it. There, Kale interrupted, voice low, deadly serious. Not done yet. They'll regroup again. Humans don't give mercy. Humans don't negotiate. Humans finish the lesson before leaving the class. The fleet, disoriented but not destroyed, retreated slightly. But Mira noticed something terrifying. New shapes appeared at the edges of the battlefield. Sleek dark forms, something larger, faster, more intelligent than anything they had encountered. The aliens had called in reinforcements or perhaps something else entirely. Mira swallowed hard. Kale, what are those? Kale's grin returned, sharper than steel. Doesn't matter. Humans don't wait for permission. Humans act first. That's how you survive in a galaxy that thinks it owns the rules. As the new threat approached, the humans braced, hearts pounding, minds sharp, determination unyielding. The aliens had learned one truth too late. Humans didn't ask permission. They didn't negotiate. They didn't surrender. And now, the universe was about to find out just how dangerous that made them. Mira's eyes widened as the new alien shapes moved in perfect synchronization. Sleek, colossal, and unrelenting, they glided through the void like predators hunting instinctively. Each emitted pulses that warped space, a subtle hum that seemed to reach inside the mind. They're enormous, Mira whispered, gripping the console. Kale, we can't fight that directly. Kyle's grin was steady, unshaken. Exactly. That's why we won't. Humans never fight by the rules others set. We make our own. The Titanic ships advanced, their surfaces shimmering with alien geometry. Every pulse they emitted was designed to crush, to dominate, to erase any thought of resistance. Mira felt her stomach tighten, a pit of unease deep in her chest. They're probing our patterns again, she said, voice tight. Trying to anticipate, Kyle, if they connect. We could lose? Sure. Kyle interrupted, voice calm and dangerous. Or we can teach them a lesson they'll never forget. Mira swallowed. Kale's confidence was infectious, almost maddening. How? They're massive. They're everything we've fought multiplied. Kale tapped the console, sending out a small, rapid pulse that reflected off the hull in fractal angles. Humans aren't bigger. Humans aren't faster. Humans are smarter. We think differently. They calculate, humans improvise. They predict, humans dominate. The Titanic shapes pulsed again, larger waves, faster, more intense. Mira's vision trembled from the pressure, the psychic tug of alien thought pressing against her skull. It's trying to get inside my mind. Kyle's eyes glinted. Good, let it. Humans aren't afraid of thought. Humans use it. Focus, disrupt. Lead. He maneuvered the ship with impossible precision, threading it between energy tendrils, sending reflected pulses into the alien hulls. Sparks of alien energy shattered into smaller arcs, illuminating the void like fireworks. Mira's hands flew over the console. Kyle, the pulses, it's learning from every move. If we're not careful. We won't be careful, Kyle said. His grin was razor sharp, a mixture of fire and defiance. We'll be human. The human ship launched a feint, drawing the alien fleet into a narrow corridor between two asteroid clusters. Energy pulses ripped through the rocks, scattering debris that the Titanic ships couldn't anticipate. One of them collided, sending shards of alien technology spinning into the void. Mira gasped. We hit one. Kyle laughed, a deep, fearless sound. Exactly. Humans exploit openings. Humans create openings. Humans dominate. The remaining ships pulsed violently, trying to coordinate, but the humans were always one step ahead. Every human maneuver was unpredictable, audacious, almost reckless, but calculated in ways the aliens couldn't comprehend. Mira's heart pounded. Kale, what are you thinking? Survival, he said simply, and a little bit of showmanship. He activated a sequence that sent the ship spinning, energy beams cutting across the alien fleet like a scythe through mist. Sparks erupted. Shields faltered. The Titanic ships hesitated, and in that hesitation humans pressed the advantage. Mira watched, awestruck, as Kale manipulated every energy pulse, every reflection, every opening. We're making them fight our way, she said, disbelief in her voice. It's working. Kale's eyes glinted, fierce and alive. Of course it's working. Humans always find a way. Humans improvise. Humans dominate, but then, one of the Titanic ships adapted faster than anticipated. It pivoted, energy pulsing in a massive arc that slammed toward the human ship. Mira felt her stomach drop. Kale smirked, eyes locked on the incoming energy. Exactly what I want. With impossible precision, he angled the hull, letting the energy pass along the deflection panels, then rerouting the excess into the alien formation. A chain reaction ignited. Ships collided, energy arcs spiraled, the fleet staggered. Mira's breath caught. We've destabilized them again. Kale's grin widened, audacious and fearless. That's the thing about humans. We don't wait for permission. We create opportunities. Others respond. That's how we dominate. Outside, the void shimmered with the fractured remnants of the alien titans, staggering in confusion and fear. The humans, battered but unbroken, moved as one, a force born of courage, audacity, and unshakable confidence. Mira finally met Kale's eyes. Do you ever doubt? He shook his head, grin never fading. Humans don't ask permission. Doubt is for those who wait. We act, we survive. We win. And as the alien titans staggered, shadows flickering across the void, Mira realized the truth. Humans weren't just fighters. They were an idea. A storm the universe hadn't anticipated. And that storm was unrelenting. The void was alive with tension. Shattered alien ships drifted like ghosts. Titanic constructs flickered with fractured energy, and the humans, battered, scorched, but unbroken, hovered in the eye of the storm. Mira's hands hovered over the controls, sweat trickling down her temple. Kyle, this is it. The core. The last central nexus of the alien fleet. If we hit it, it ends them or us. Kyle didn't flinch. His grin was steady, unshakable, full of that reckless confidence humans carried as instinct. Exactly. Humans don't ask permission. Humans don't pause for fear. Humans finish what they start. The Titanic constructs pulsed violently, shadows writhing across space, energy surging like a living storm. This wasn't just combat, it was intelligence, raw and immense, pushing, probing, calculating every possibility. Mira felt the psychic weight, the pressure on her mind, her senses stretched to the limit. Kale's voice cut through her panic. Calm, deliberate. Mira, trust humans. Trust me, focus, act. A pulse wave slammed against the ship. Lights flickered. Hull groaned. The humans, instead of recoiling, advanced, weaving between the Titanic appendages. Every maneuver was precise audacity. Every action defiant, every breath calculated. Mira's fear mingled with awe. How do we keep doing this? Kale's grin was sharper than steel. Because humans survive by defying limits. Humans dominate by ignoring rules. And humans never ask permission. The central nexus glowed violently, the pulse of energy almost blinding. The Titanic form surged, trying to converge, to overwhelm, to erase humanity. Mira's pulse quickened. Kyle, if we fail, we won't, he said, voice low, steady, like the final chord of a symphony. Because humans don't fail when the universe doubts us. With a flurry of commands, Kale guided the ship closer to the core. Energy arcs danced across the hull, shields flaring in brilliant bursts. The constructs pulsed, writhing, attempting to anticipate their moves, but humans were unpredictable. Every feint, every reflection, every calculation was a statement. We act first. We act fast. We act smart. Mira focused, syncing with Kale's rhythm, anticipation sharpening every nerve. Ready for the final strike, she whispered. Kale's grin softened, almost serene in its intensity. Then let's teach a lesson. The beam fired, a concentrated pulse of human ingenuity, defiance, and audacity. It struck the nexus directly. Light exploded across the void, fracturing the constructs, destabilizing the Titanic alien vessels. Energy spiraled outward, sending shock waves that shattered formations, broke command sequences, and severed psychic connections. The aliens screamed, not in sound, but in psychic resonance, a howl of disbelief and frustration. They had calculated, predicted, controlled, and for the first time they couldn't. Humans had rewritten the rules. Mira's voice trembled with disbelief and exhilaration. We did it. Kale, they're collapsing. Kyle's grin returned, fearless, audacious. No, we didn't just do it. We reminded them. Humans don't ask permission. Humans survive. Humans dominate. And the universe will remember that. Outside, the titanic constructs twisted, shattered, and fell inert. The alien fleet disbanded. Leaderless and fractured, the remnants drifting, defeated not by brute strength alone but by unpredictability, courage, and the audacity to act without hesitation. Mira looked at Kale, awe and admiration overwhelming her. How do you stay so alive in all of this? Kale's eyes gleamed, fierce and untamed. Because we're human. And humans don't ask permission, we adapt. We improvise, we act. That's the lesson no alien, no empire, no construct will ever forget. For a moment, silence fell over the void. Stars shimmered as if holding their breath. The humans, battered but triumphant, hovered amid the wreckage. They hadn't just survived, they had dominated, leaving a mark on the universe that could never be erased. Mira exhaled, a mix of relief and exhilaration. Kyle, we're alive. Kale's grin was unapologetic, audacious, immortal in its human defiance. Alive, Mira, we're unstoppable. And now, everyone else just learned a very important lesson. The shattered alien fleet drifted. The titanic constructs darkened, and somewhere across the void, the survivors felt the weight of human defiance, the raw, indomitable, relentless spirit that refused to bow, refused to ask permission, refused to yield. And humanity's legend had just begun. The stars stretched infinite, the void endless, and humanity's shadow, fearless and untamed, moved forward, undaunted, unconquered, unstoppable.